Zephyline Dantas deserves special recognition for the story. Please read the description and comments below to learn more about him. Let's go on to the more repulsive story. The commander of the Void Jumper glanced at the screen, but his professional manner prevented him from agreeing with the security cell operator. In the hopes that he wouldn't have to find out, he said, "I'm going in there. Are we certain the restraints are holding?" It was made very evident in the legends of these monsters that no limitations could apply. There are no cybernetic modifications in this one, and the restraints have been strengthened. The operator attempted to project confidence, but was unsuccessful. He went inside the questioning cell, where the beast gazed up at him and exposed its teeth. The interview with grins started around 2721. 4398 Commander XLD and the captured alien pilot are in the chamber. He explained what the thing said in flawless galactic standard to the built-in recorders. Steve X struggled to restrain himself after he glanced at the extraterrestrial. "My name is Steve, and I am a human." As he realized that he had captured a human person on XL-Day, the adversary who never left their bodies or any remnant of their technology. He had done it with Eli rose through his chest. He had won behind after combat, and I understand what you're thinking. The hum indicated that it was seated at the table, trying to do more than drag due to the hefty constraints pressing down on its upper extremities. Across the table, the double-handed gauntlet made of titanium, lead, and tungsten alloy. "You will merely respond to my inquiries and take no further action." That person, Steve shrugged and asked, "What are you doing here?" With a smile on his face, "Do you really think this attitude will help you?" he inquired in response to your question. Stell was not going to subject him to basic counter-interrogation methods. As he pushed, Steve continued to smile. "He can lean over the table with the Hy-Vee gauntlet removed, but you must ask the appropriate questions if you want this to work, especially the one query you won't pose to anyone else." He glanced at the inmate who was wearing a short biped, in the general grooming and hairstyle of what they had recognized as an officer's uniform. "Why is that a good question now?" The human matched their military service records and maintained an unnaturally composed demeanor. This time, the human gave him a smile. It had several responses, although it appeared to be more of a modest smile. The first response is that I have no motive to tell lies. On a Galactic Council battle carrier, I'm by myself. The person pondered, then gently nodded in agreement with the second response's logic. A little longer. "So please, be patient." Ixala leaned against the wall that was farthest away from the human when humanity first arrived, and another nod was given. "We discovered hundreds of thousands of systems with habitable planets, and we were ecstatic that we had overcome the formidable obstacle of FTL and transcended the boundaries of our home world. We had stepped in with youthful innocence, unaware of the implications, during the time that our species had existed. Our course of action would be to colonize every planet we could find and introduce a foreign organism into thousands of balanced bio. The results were unanimous throughout all of our territories. The original biosphere died off everywhere in the galaxy, and every trace of naturally occurring life was destroyed, because we had ultimately come to the logical conclusion that it was ours after searching for intelligent life for hundreds of generations, because we were the only ones in the galaxy, the first, and in our haste to discover and establish ourselves. After recognizing our error, we started terraforming barren planets in the habitable zone and even expanding the habitable zones in numerous systems by using different methods, resulting in complete colonies. We had unintentionally eliminated any prospect of a second arising spontaneously. Reservations were made for the few species of life that remained after have evacuated, in an attempt to preserve the remaining biospheres, but the damage was too great. The planets perished, and the terraformed ones were seeded with genetic material in an attempt to create life. It was a complete and total failure. We had destroyed all life in the galaxy and proved that we were the destroyers, not the creators. The surviving flora and fauna eventually fail as well. These days, all that remains of them are archives. The person sagged its shoulders and displayed all of the subtle signs of embarrassment. The book, and a few others that Ixala had never seen before. But time passed, as it always does, and with it came the capacity to cross the gap between galaxies. We discovered that a nearby galaxy lacked a spacefaring when we landed there. This civilization established the first rule. No planet that supports life should do so. Be inhabited by anyone who is not a resident of its ecosystem. We discovered life this time, and we wouldn't destroy it. We colonized barren planets across the galaxy and terraformed them. The planets that supported life destroyed the meteors that were destined to strike them in the size of a cataclysmic disaster. We raised and established rich starfaring civilizations by landing to deliver life-saving medications to fight any epidemics, and providing clean energy technology to any civilization that had managed to achieve steam power. By training them and utilizing our history as lessons, we were able to avoid making the majority of the mistakes we have made in our progress. They also claimed ownership of the life-bearing systems when they started to build their own colonies. When they attempted to seize them by force, we resisted and remained firm as the few remaining species at the end of that conflict. A tear appeared in the prisoners' eyes as they were humbled. We killed billions of creatures that we had cherished, trained, and equipped with self-defense technology, only to see it be misused, not out of malice, but rather because they were unaware of our need to preserve life. We had forgotten that the only way we can genuinely learn is via struggle, which is why the second rule was created. No system, a planet that supports life may be colonized or interfere with any interaction with an extraterrestrial species, must be initiated by them. Steve's eyes portrayed the sorrow of a billion souls lost before we discovered them. The Galactic Council of Species. Along with this galaxy, 150 extraterrestrial species are enmeshed in a political grid of mutually assured catastrophe and shaky peace. If any, before the human knew he was offering intel, 157 Excella corrected him. Steve gave a courteous nod in reply. 57, yes, there is room for the 7 recently added species. When we arrived, we saw a heavily populated galaxy tearing itself apart in an armaments race. But communication was not spacefair. They are lambs in a pit of hungry wolves. To obtain the edge, we came to the realization that we would need to do so in order to protect this galaxy's life, become its adversary. A leader from each species was brought to a diplomatic vessel, where they were subsequently fed. All of human space gave lectures about our past and the guaranteed extinction of life in their galaxy. We proposed a remedy, and if nothing changed, we would turn into the only possible immediate invaders, held at bay by alliances and collaboration. Thus your leaders simply pushed you into a conflict as the boogeyman I don't believe in. By it, Excelic disrupted the human. The 4 rules are developed over years and discussed for millennia before a universally accepted agreement is reached. They are not merely declared by an elected official commander. The 3rd rule, which aims to protect life everywhere, was put into effect fewer than 1,500 years ago. Those who possess wisdom and understanding are required to behave accordingly. Therefore, for 6,000 years, we have fought to protect the galaxy's life-bearing planets. First by colonizing nearby systems and creating safe zones that extend out to encompass them. However, the galaxy is a large commander, and a century ago, we discovered that the Council had expanded into known prohibited systems in an attempt to obtain more resources. Are prohibited because life is present. The new 7 are an example of this. The 4th rule was proposed 100 years ago. Commander, I'm here to tell you that even though you live in a populous system, the locals here are still in the early stages of computer-controlled automation. Therefore they won't. For a considerable amount of time, anything over their heads is considered divine territory. Any intervention will be viewed as divine in comparison to who we are. God still saw no reason to meddle with the planet he was searching for. For gas and mineral exploitation sites, planets, Steve nodded, took his hands off the straps, got out of the chair, sighed, and turned to face Excella. This system had an abundance of both. Any sufficiently advanced technology is, in 2 of his 10 eyes, going to look like magic, but my ship is parked. I am a volunteer messenger. I am not your prisoner, and I am not capturing you. This is not an interrogation. The cause of your long-range jump drive isn't charging. Communications are down, and you'll all perish. You've arrived at the conclusion in 10 minutes of the narrative. If you found it enjoyable, you would like to help us, please like and subscribe to our channel. I thoroughly enjoyed the story, and I appreciate each and every comment. Thank you for your time.